All right, it appears WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has issued a stiff, stern warning to the WNBPA and the players that if you guys don't get your heads out of your you-know-what by Monday, games will be missed and you will lose a lot of money, a lot of it. You got till Monday to get this thing done. We got to break this thing down, man. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, hype the video. That would be greatly appreciated. Let's get right into things. Shout out to Annie Scoops, aka Annie.
The clock is ticking toward a total shutdown. Cathy Engelbert just drew a line in the sand that could cost the players millions of dollars. Monday is the day the music stops, and if a deal isn't signed, the entire 2025 season starts crumbling before a single ball is even bounced. This isn't just a negotiation anymore. It's a high-stakes game of chicken where the first one to blink loses everything. The commissioner made it clear, sign the papers or prepare to watch your bank accounts drain. It's a brutal ultimatum that has sent shockwaves through every locker room in the league.
It is a circus what is going on with this negotiation situation. Here it says, on the fourth consecutive day of marathon bargaining sessions, the WNBA and WNBPA are making progress, but they're still in a race against time to reach a deal. Okay, and to be honest, man, I feel like y'all should have been having this type of negotiation. Like, y'all should have been doing this in December. Y'all should have been doing this in November. Like, the fact that we're just now getting to March when y'all want to do all this stuff should have, this type of negotiation should have been going down, and we probably would be.
They have been locked in a room for over 40 hours of marathon negotiations that look more like a hostage situation than a business meeting. We are talking about 16-hour sessions that start in the morning and stretch until the sun comes up the next day. The tension in that room is thick enough to cut with a knife as both sides try to claw for every single penny. Insiders have been tracking the movement like hawks, reporting that the fatigue is starting to set in. But even with exhaustion taking over, the two sides are still miles apart on the one thing that matters most. The bag.
This type of negotiation should have been going down, and we probably would be done with it, to be honest with you. Okay. Here it says, I've never been a betting woman in my life. I'm not going to start now, but we have to get a deal done by Monday. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert told reporters outside the meeting Friday. I should say we have to get it done without disrupting some part of the fact that we've got to run this two-team expansion draft. We have to get expansion going. We have to get free agency going. We've got to get the college draft, which is now a month from today. So, damn, the college draft is just...
Why the sudden rush? Because the WNBA calendar is a house of cards ready to fall. The first preseason games are scheduled for April 25th, featuring the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty. If there is no deal by Monday, those games are the first thing on the chopping block. Engelbert isn't playing games when she says time is of the essence. Training camps are supposed to open on April 19th, but without a CBA, those gates stay locked. The league is staring down a logistical nightmare that could cancel games and erase the momentum of the biggest year in women's basketball history.
Out. That's where we're going to see Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts, AZ Fudd, our fam, Tanaya Latson, all of the college stars are going to be drafted. Big Foe, Flau'jae Johnson out of LSU. We're just 30 days out, okay? We don't have time to continue to play games. Here it says, the WNBA's first two preseason games are slated for April 25th when the Indiana Fever face the New York Liberty and the Seattle Storm play the Golden State Valkyries. Sources are...
At the heart of this war is a massive divide over how the money actually gets split. The players are tired of the old system and are demanding a share of the gross revenue, not just the net profits the league claims to make. Initially, the union came to the table asking for a staggering 40% of the gross. That is a massive jump from where they have been, and it represents a complete shift in how they value their own labor. They know the league is blowing up, they see the sold-out arenas, and they want their fair share of the top-line growth before the accountants start deducting expenses.
The Indiana Fever faced the New York Liberty and the Seattle Storm play the Golden State Valkyries. Sources around the league believe that if a deal is not agreed to by early next week, training camp will be delayed and preseason games will be subject to cancellation. And a quote from Cathy Engelbert is, we have a fairly short preseason. We have preseason games scheduled on April 25th. That's what I first worry about. Those are some great games. Both sides return to the bargaining table at 10 a.m. on Friday after a nearly 16-hour session that began mid-morning on Thursday.
The league response has been a calculated attempt to keep the status quo while offering just enough to keep people talking. Their latest proposal finally cracked the 15% mark of gross revenue, which is a first for these negotiations. It sounds like progress, but it is still a far cry from what the players believe they have earned. The WNBA is offering a salary cap of around $6.2 million, trying to find a middle ground that keeps the owners happy while quieting the union demands. It is a delicate dance where every percentage point represents millions of dollars.
Joining fellow Vice President Breanna Stewart and Union President Nneka Ogwumike, executive committee members Alicia Clark and Breanna Turner left earlier in the day Friday after participating since Tuesday. Okay, so the big bad wolf, Napheesa Collier, showed up to the meetings on Friday. Okay, she showed up. She's been laying low, staying out of the way, and maybe that's been a good thing. I don't know if her being there is going to make things turn for the worse, but I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see, man. Here it says, the biggest hurdle has been revenue sharing.
Then, the dynamic in the room changed completely when Napheesa Collier walked through the doors. Known by some as the big bad wolf of these negotiations, her arrival signaled that the players were bringing in their heaviest hitters to close the gap. She has been laying low, but her presence at the table alongside superstars like Breanna Stewart and Nneka Ogwumike proves the union is united. They are not just sending representatives. The faces of the league are the ones staring down the commissioner. When you have the MVPs of the league sitting across from you at 4 a.m., the pressure is unbearable.
Jeez, this is nuts. 15 proposals have been exchanged since Tuesday, a source familiar said. The league's latest proposal offered a shared net revenue that for the first time amounts to more than 15% of gross revenue. A source familiar with negotiations said the union started negotiations seeking a 40% share of gross revenue and brought back that asked below of 26% in recent proposals. The latest known salary cap offering from the WNBA is $6.2 million. The key in reaching a deal could lie in a net system that amounts to a percentage shared.
We are only 30 days away from the college draft, and right now, everything is in limbo. Imagine being a star like Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts, or Azzi Fudd, waiting to hear your name called while the league is in a state of total chaos. The draft is supposed to be the moment these women change their lives, but without a deal, the entire process is haunted by uncertainty. If the Monday deadline passes without a signature, the draft could be delayed, leaving the next generation of stars wondering if they will even have a season to play. The league is gambling with the futures of its newest talent.
What urgency looks like for them, we've known what it looks like for us. Okay, so this CBA negotiation is still going on. It says once both sides shake hands on a tentative deal, it will still be weeks before the CBA is ratified. Okay, the lawyers got to do all that paperwork and get everything finalized. And then it says the season is scheduled to begin May 8th, training camp on April 19th, and the collegiate draft on April 13th. But any of this can happen. The league, before any of this can happen, the league needs to conduct an expansion draft for the.
It is not just the current players and the rookies who are feeling the heat. The WNBA is in the middle of a massive expansion push with the Portland Fire and the Toronto Temple preparing to join the ranks. But you cannot have an expansion draft if you do not have a collective bargaining agreement in place. Everything from roster spots to salary protections for these new teams is tied up in these negotiations. The league is trying to grow at record speed, but they have hit a brick wall. If Engelbert cannot get this deal done, the entire expansion project could be pushed back, costing millions. The money ultimatum is not just a catchy phrase, it is a literal threat to the players and their livelihoods. Engelbert has essentially told the union that if they do not agree to the terms by Monday, the league will start withholding pay for missed time. For many players who rely on these checks to support their families, this is a terrifying prospect. It is a classic power move designed to break the union resolve by targeting their wallets. The commissioner knows that while the top stars have endorsements, the majority of the league needs that regular season income to survive the year. Terry Carmichael Jackson, the executive director of the WNBPA, has been the calm in the middle of the storm. She told the media that movement is the word of the day, suggesting that as long as things are moving forward, there is hope. But she also acknowledged that the league is finally showing the players what urgency looks like on their end. For years, the players have been the ones screaming for change, and now the shoe is on the other foot. The league is the one panicked about the schedule, and the union is using that desperation to squeeze out every concession they can before Monday. It is not just about the millions in salary. The smaller issues are proving to be just as contentious. The players are fighting for basic professional standards like guaranteed housing and better travel benefits. In a league that is supposedly skyrocketing in value, the fact that players still have to haggle over where they live during the season is embarrassing. There are also deep discussions about wearable technology and how that data is used by the teams. These ancillary proposals are the sticking points that turn a 10-hour meeting into a 20-hour marathon for everyone involved. One of the biggest wins the players are chasing is the removal of the core designation. This is a rule that essentially allows teams to trap a player and prevent them from entering true free agency. It has been a thorn in the side of the league's biggest stars for years, limiting their earning potential and their freedom to choose where they play. Rumors are circulating that the league might finally be willing to budge on this, but only if the players give up ground on the revenue sharing model. It is a high-stakes trade-off that could change the landscape of player movement forever. This is not the first time the WNBA has gone to the brink. Insiders are pointing back to the 2020 CBA negotiations as a blueprint for what is happening now. That deal was also hammered out in a grueling round-the-clock grind that pushed everyone to their breaking point. But the world is different now. The league valuation has exploded, and the players know they have more leverage than they ever did 4 years ago. They are not just happy to have a league anymore. They want to own a piece of the success they have built. The ghost of the 2020 deal is hovering over the table today. Since Tuesday alone, 15 different proposals have been flung across the table. That is a staggering amount of paperwork and legal maneuvering in just a few days. Each proposal represents a different configuration of salary caps, bonus structures, and revenue percentages. The fact that they are still exchanging that many documents shows just how far apart the fine print really is. It is a chaotic scene behind closed doors, with lawyers and executives arguing over commas and clauses while the Monday deadline looms over them like a dark cloud. Every hour without a handshake is a risk. While the big names are at the table, over 100 free agents are currently sitting in total limbo. They cannot sign contracts, they cannot plan their moves, and they cannot even secure their future because there is no CBA to govern their deals. This is a massive group of women whose lives are effectively on hold until Cathy Engelbert and the union can find common ground. The anxiety among the rank-and-file players is at an all-time high. They are watching the clock, knowing that every day of delay is a day they are not getting paid or securing their spot on a roster for the season. The commissioner's biggest fear is the preseason schedule. She specifically mentioned the games on April 25th as the primary worry. These are not just exhibition games, they are major revenue drivers and marketing opportunities for the league. If the Golden State Valkyries cannot make their debut because of a labor dispute, it would be a PR catastrophe. The league has built up so much goodwill with the fans over the last year, and a work stoppage would be like throwing a bucket of ice water on a roaring fire. Engelbert is desperate to avoid that scenario, but her attitude might backfire. One of the most telling signs of the crisis is the cancellation of the in-person competition meetings. These were supposed to happen in Phoenix during the NCAA Women's Final Four, bringing together GMs and coaches from across the league. Now, those meetings have been moved to a virtual format with no set date. This shows that the league leadership is completely consumed by the CBA fight. They cannot even focus on the actual basketball operations because the financial future of the league is so uncertain. When the coaches and GMs are being told to stay home, the situation is dire. In a surprising move, the union recently lowered their gross revenue demand from 40% down to around 26%. This was a massive olive branch extended to the league, showing that the players are willing to compromise to get the season started. However, even 26% of gross revenue is significantly higher than the league's current net-based offer. The gap is narrowing, but it is still a multi-million-dollar chasm. The union feels they have moved enough, and now they are waiting for the league to step up and meet them halfway before Monday arrives. You have to wonder how sharp these decisions are when the people making them have not slept in days. The grinded out method of negotiation is legendary for producing deals, but it also produces mistakes. With 16-hour sessions stretching into dawn, the mental fatigue is a real factor. One side might cave just because they are too tired to keep arguing, or worse, they might sign a deal that has hidden flaws they did not catch in their sleep-deprived state. This is high-stakes poker played in a room full of people who are running on caffeine and pure adrenaline right now. The fans are starting to get restless, and the league knows it. Social media is buzzing with supporters who are divided between wanting the players to get paid and wanting to make sure the season starts on time. The WNBA has never had this many eyes on it, and a lockout would be a slap in the face to the millions of new fans who just joined the fold. If the Monday deadline passes and games start getting canceled, the backlash against both Engelbert and the union will be swift and brutal. Nobody wants to be the one responsible for killing the momentum of this historic new era. Monday is the ultimate gamble. If the union holds firm and refuses to sign, they are betting that the league will blink first to save the preseason. But if Engelbert holds firm and cancels the games, the players lose their leverage and their money. It is a terrifying stalemate. The commissioner is banking on the fact that the players need the money more than the league needs those first few games. It is a cold, calculated move that treats the athletes more like line items on a spreadsheet than the stars of the show. The next 72 hours will determine the future of the WNBA. Even if they reach a deal by Monday, the drama isn't over. It will still take weeks for the lawyers to finalize the paperwork, and for the players to officially ratify the CBA. This means the league will be operating on a razor-thin margin to get everything ready for the May 8th season opener. There is zero room for error. Every single day wasted in that negotiation room is a day lost for marketing, team practices, and logistical planning. They are burning the candle at both ends, and the wax is about to run out. The pressure is mounting to a level that the league has never seen. At the end of the day, this isn't just about a contract. It's about the soul of the WNBA. The players are fighting for a future where they are not just an afterthought in the world of professional sports. They want a deal that reflects their worth in a market that is finally waking up to their talent. Cathy Engelbert is trying to protect the league bottom line, but she is doing it by threatening the very people who make the league possible. Whether a deal is signed by Monday or not, the relationship has been forever changed by this ultimatum. The biggest battle is happening off the court.